Hello and welcome back to Sports for Dummies. In today's episode, we are going through who has had the best first 50 games in the AFL. This is all because Nick Daicos had his 50th. Have we witnessed the best first 50 games in the AFL, Johnny?
Well, he is an absolute star. So already he's a premiership player, all Australian, finished fourth in the Brownlow.
And arguably, he had 4 weeks out.
And
he reckon he could have taken it out.
He's averaging 28 touches.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
He's an absolute star.
Who else is there? I mean, you've got the likes of Selwood.
So this is where, as much as I like Nick Daicos, I think people think the football just started 2 years ago. I did a bit of research.
You did a lot. What'd you find?
From natural, and also natural knowledge, and we've got the highlights of these players here. We're going to start off with a guy called Tony Modra, who played for the Adelaide Football Club. He kicked 220 goals in his first 50 games, including 129 in year 2. He made the All-Australian side. 2-time leading goal kicker, and he took the mark of the year.
That was huge.
And that's not even the mark of the year.
Oh my God, that's not the mark of the year.
That's not mark of the year. Is there sound?
I don't know. For some reason, the sound don't want to work today.
Sun doesn't want to work today. This
Ain't
is the
nobody
mark.
got time
This
for
is
that.
this is the mark of the year.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty damn good.
This guy he played full forward. He was mobile on the ground. He could jump like nothing else. 220 goals in his first 50 games, Josh. This is incredible.
Look, Daicos ain't doing that. Modra was a forward, yeah?
Full forward.
Okay.
Full forward.
Do you feel like full forwards don't get the credit they deserve? Because when what was funny when I was listening to Daicos, and anyone who had to listen to the Saints in Collingwood game, they had Joel Selwood.
Yeah,
and he was there, and he's going to be a mention of ours,
of course.
But there were only really 3 players that they spoke about.
I'm not sure if it. I guess Nick Daicos is sort of like the best player. Collingwood were the best side. Yes, midfielders get rated higher than
the
full
forwards.
I think it's more though recency biased. Like Modra's in the early 90s. There's players where I'm going to go right back who have just phenomenal stats. Selwood and Nick Daicos are very new. It's like this 21st century.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 220 goals.
Is it hard to compare those, I guess,
100% and 100% because goal kicking, it was more of a one-on-one game. You didn't have zone defenses. You played one-on-one.
Back then.
Yeah.
So that arguably makes it harder for the player.
Not the full forward because he's playing one-on-one. He's not playing 2 or 3 players.
Yeah.
There's not team defenses. The only thing that would have been harder for a forward back then is that the backman could pretty much hit you, chop your arms, put your hands in the back. There was. I
was going to say there was a lot more physicality back then,
but you had more one-on-one. Like you see somebody one-on-one now. You see Charlie Corno isolated one-on-one. That defender's in trouble. That was more what it was like.
Okay.
Before the game. The game strategy really started to advance super quickly in the 21st century. That's not to say that there wasn't, but the game has evolved much quicker in terms of tactics. And that's why they've tried to, stop that,
Why do you reckon that? I was going to say, that leads to that question. Why is that? Is that just the evolution of the AFL?
Evolution of the game? The game's become more professional.
Okay. And I guess the coaching's become more important.
They changed the rules. I mean, the game in 2020, like when Richmond won their third, the game was a slog. It was actually quite hard to look. It was like a roaming scrum pack, and that's why the AFL brought in. You know how they line up 6.
Yep, 6.
That was how the game was actually played naturally.
Yeah,
but it was just in the essence of it. You sat in your position, and that's what you did. That's what you did.
No, that's interesting. That brings us to our next.
So next one was Sav Rocker, another Collingwood player, another forward. He kicked 151 goals in his first 50 games, including 73 in his second year. He was 2-time leading Collingwood goal kicker. We talk about Anthony Rocca. Sav was better. He was a better mark. Absolutely. Anthony's even on record on saying that Sav was a longer kick than him as a drop punt. He did go to the NFL as a punter. Anthony just said he could kick the better. He could kick the better torp. But 70 goals. I mean, 93 was a good year for the full forwards. Modra, Sav Rocca, Gary Ablett kicked 100 goals in 15 games. But there's another player, 150. So he averaged 3 goals in his first game.
That's unheard of now. Like, what player's coming into the AFL right now and doing that?
None.
No. I was going to say as a forward. But like you said, the different game. I mean, it players kicking bags of 10, 8 goals, 10 goals every game.
And players run up the ground too. Like, they lead up the ground. It's just a completely different thing.
It's not as, like you said, it's not as dominant on having an absolute dominant full forward who would kick their back. Like, think about
So Charlie averaged 3 goals, more than 3 goals a game last year.
Yep.
That's the Coleman medal. Sav Rocca in that year, which showed he kicked 79 goals, and like he wasn't top 5.
Yeah, okay.
Do you get what I mean? Like, I mean, Curnow does it. He's the best goal. He's the Coleman medalist. Gary Ablett kicked 115 games.
That's crazy averages.
Correct.
And that was back then. That was a common sort of factor, over 100 goals. I mean, we didn't see that. You haven't seen that since Franklin.
Buddy Franklin, and he'll get a mention on this list too.
Yeah. Who's next?
This one, this is from terms of goal kicking, winning, leadership. Steve Kernahan. So, for context, he came over from South Australia, the South Australian League. Well, this is where he played 4 years there. So, he came over as like a 23-year-old. He kicked 500 goals in his South Australian comp before coming to the VFL.
Okay. And he was Carlton.
He was Carlton in his first. So, he was a traditional centre forward. Before Selwood, he was the number 1 record holder for games captained. He made 2 grand final appearances in his first 50 games.
Yep.
He won 1 premiership. He's a Carlton premiership captain, and he kicked 135 goals.
That's incredible.
He was already in the hardest. It's in centre half forward. That was when centre half forward was the most important position on the ground. He comes in and he's the leader of the biggest club at the time.
That has to be up there with one of the. Like, that's ridiculous.
He kicked over 700 goals, and like I said, because this is before it became the AFL, so the South Australia League was strong. So he kicked over 1,200 goals in his whole career.
Yeah,
and he wasn't even a great kick. He was the helicopter. He was a guy who helicoptered it from 50 metres.
I love that.
Absolute star.
That's stardom. Did we touch on Daicos, or do we want to go through him last? We didn't really touch.
We've touched on him. I think we've done Nick Daicos' highlights on this show.
Oh, we definitely have. But
times.
he's had, what did he have? He had the first Rising Star.
Rising Star, All Australian. He's a premiership player, fourth in the Brownlow, and he's averaging 28 touches. That's insane. For a comparison, another guy that we will talk about, but we're not going to go into now, Chris Judd in the same amount of time averaged 16 possessions. We will get to why that doesn't sound as bad as it thinks.
I was going to say, I'm like, that doesn't sound that great.
We'll get to it.
That sounds horrible.
We will get to it, Josh.
We will get there. All right, who do we have next? We've got
next is he's literally named. It's the goal kicking award, John Coleman. This is better than anyone's first 50 games. I couldn't give a shit. 295 goals in his first 50 games in 3 years. Kicked 100 in his first year, 120 in his second. 2-time premiership player in that time. He led the league in goal kicking. Didn't have the Coleman medal there because he was the man. 3-time Essendon goal kicking leader. And the best and fairest winner. Don't worry about Nick Daicos, mate. Name a better 50 than that. I don't think there's a better than what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Impressive. That's impressive. How many goals did you say again?
295
Because
goals.
I heard a lot of stats and I was like, gee, that's a lot of accolades.
But it wasn't even just the goals. 295. He won 2 premierships
yeah.
and led the league in goal kicking. So he walked into the league. He took speckies everywhere. By the way, he kicked 12 goals on debut.
What sort of player does that? Like, seriously. I mean,
that's why
they name something
That's why they
after.
call you the John Coleman. I think he kicked 535 goals in 98 games. And then he had to retire through injury.
How many years did he play? How many games did he play?
Let me have a look. He only played he didn't play 100 games.
Are you kidding? So he had 98 games and he... Yeah. Jeez, could you have imagined seeing him play 300? He would have kicked the all time.
Like he took like this guy. They talk about athletes and stuff. This guy, like, there's lots of photos of him like jumping on people's heads. 98 games, 537 goals.
So he's averaging over 5 a game.
Yeah, absolute.
And
superstar.
what era was it? How long ago?
So he played in the 60s. So he played for 6 years. Sorry, 7.
Yeah, I don't know how we can say that Daicos has the best.
Like he wasn't even he was averaging 14 games. Like he was playing 2/3 of the year and do this. So he was always injured, but whenever he was on the park, coming back from an injury, he kicked goals.
That's
I don't think there's a better player than him, who's got a better first 50 games.
The only one that comes to mind based on does it have his winning record on that?
So 91 wins, 40 losses, 3 draws.
On his career?
Yeah. So he was, 43. He's going at a pretty high percentage for a whole career. That's his whole career, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, 50. I'm thinking, looking at, a player like Joel Selwood.
Or what about Kernahan? He's made grand final twice in his 50 games. That's his whole career. And he won, and this guy won 2 grand finals in his first 2 years, remember?
Oh shit! Yeah, that beats Selwood 1-1.
But Selwood's. We'll get to Selwood.
Honourable mention. Let's put Tommy Stewart. Can we talk about Tommy Stewart?
Oh, he deserves to be in there.
He's definitely in there.
All Australian in his second year.
I think he's not even. You know what annoyed me? Joel Selwood's getting all the accolades, and it's like, hold up, this guy's all Australian 2 first year. Like he's not going to win. Let's be real. His position that he plays is not going to win a Brownlow. He's not going to win.
But he is, like we were saying,
BNF. He's going to struggle.
He's won 6. He's made the All-Australian side 5 times already in 150 games. He could go down if he keeps going on track. And another few, could he go down as one of the greatest defenders of all time? He's definitely up there, though.
I don't know what the record would be, but how many All-Australian jumpers do you need to really solidify that? Surely, as a backman.
That is a great question.
As a backman, like genuinely speaking, we are witnessing, and we saw that last week. He is just a brick wall. You can't get it through. And not only that, he's just so attacking too.
So the most...
For all Australians.
It looks like it's...
Guys, who do you think... we've got a few more to mention.
So there's 5 players. 8... And it's 8.
8 is the most?
Yeah. And Gary Ablett Jr., Patrick Dangerfield, Lance Franklin, Robert Harvey, Mark Rasciuto.
Mate, how old's Tom Stewart? 25?
He was a mature age. He's 27.
Oh, okay. Mate, he's still on. He could do it.
Yeah.
He's on track this year.
He's absolutely is.
Good on him. This is awesome to this side. That we're
watching history.
100%.
He gets 2 more All-Australian jumpers. He surpasses Scarlett.
Huge. Tom Stewart, 2 more. Matthew Scarlett. He was in the team of the 21st century for Geelong by a mile. And
yep.
Same with Stewart, but that's massive.
Let's move on. So next one. This is an interesting character. Personified Mark Jacko Jackson. This guy played 50 games and kicked 193 goals.
So
and got fired by both sides.
Why?
Because he was a dickhead.
Oh, wow, yeah. What is he doing here? He's just doing handstands and cracking the shits.
Absolute great marketer. He's one of the best set shots of all time. He kicked over 300 goals in 80 games and got fired from every club he played.
Was it just his attitude?
His attitude, he picked fights with people.
Okay.
But in terms of raw football, this guy was an absolute star. I mean, the highlights aren't even of him kicking goals.
No, it's him just taunting players and cracking the shit.
But 193 goals in 50 games.
Yeah,
That's better than Sav Rocker. Like, what a man. And by the way, those Melbourne sides he played in were on bottom of the ladder sides.
so he was the one kicking the goals.
Yeah, him and Jared Healy.
So like you said back then, though, I guess if you were a good player and you came in, you were playing one-on-one.
Yeah,
Is it
one-on-one.
really
But it would have
that
been it would have been hard though, because Melbourne was shit.
Okay.
Like, so he would have had, and remember, so him and Jared Healy both kicked 70 goals each in a season. You would have had fuck all opportunities, and
True.
you were sharing it with another dominant player. And I think when we were looking, he kicked 193 goals from like 240 opportunities. Like he's kicking at a really good efficiency.
He's making the most of his opportunity.
Absolutely.
Which, look...
He averaged, don't quote me, but it was 3.5 goals a game in his career.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
That's damn good. Just didn't have enough of it, though.
He didn't play.
Yeah.
He kept getting kicked out.
Exact.
He just kept getting kicked out.
Who else have we got then?
Let's go on to a new name. For whatever reason, the highlights I wanted to show of this guy. So Chris Judd. Chris Judd comes in to a young West Coast side that had Ben Cousins and who was becoming an absolute star. Daniel Kerr debuted the year before. His first 50 games, West Coast make the finals twice. And like I said, Juddy only averaged 16 touches. You'd think, was he that good?
Why is he up there for the first 50?
He kicked 50 goals.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And when I say 50 games, it was actually 45 games in the first two seasons. So he was averaging over a goal a game as a midfielder. It was unbelievable. And stats don't tell you everything, because everyone who saw him play, the impact that those 16 touches had, well, he was hitting the scoreboard. And when Judd really arrived was in his second season. They went to Brisbane.
Yep.
Brisbane had won the two in a row at that point. So the all-conquering Brisbane midfield. When I'm talking Voss, Black, Ackermanis, Lappin, Power. Chris Judd would be game 30 in there 35. Judd kicked 5 of them on that midfield in one half. That's when Chris Judd arrived, and then in his third year, he was a Brownlow medalist.
Yeah, and that was part of his... what did he have? After round 5, that was his 50 game.
That was his
mark.
50 games. Yeah. So that's why I haven't even included that.
Yeah, that's the part. I mean, everyone...
And this is where stats don't tell you everything, because go look up Chris Judd's highlights when he began. He was the most explosive player to ever play the game. He could win the ball on the contest and then just dominated on the outside. He could do everything. Chris Judd at West Coast arguably could be the greatest midfielder of all time for like a small period. Like, he's just... I've never saw a better midfielder than that.
But like you said, it's not about the stats on that or the accolades, because when you said that, I mean, averaging 16 touches, 1 goal a game.
Doesn't look great, does it?
Doesn't sound that great.
But to kick 50 goals in your first 2 years, and he played 45 games. And if you do the numbers, he was averaging a goal. He was, averaging a goal a game. So by game 50, he was probably...
It still doesn't sound that great. Like, I'm not...
absolutely, it does. For a midfielder, on the
16.
wing, he would have been a wing, half forward, impact, bang. No, who does that this year? Who does that?
But, you got Daicos, who's got 28 disposals.
Cool. How many goals did he kick?
Cool.
How many goals did he kick?
Let's look it up.
How many goals has he kicked? Because I know the answer.
Daicos.
I know the answer,
Goals.
but I just want to bring it up for you. So in his first 50 games, he's kicked 28 goals.
Hold your horses, mate. That's not bad.
The other guy kicked double.
Yeah, but he's almost got double the amount of disposals.
One's kicking a goal.
Yeah, but the others... Okay, wait. What we should have done is looked up score involvements. That would have been a smart one. I don't know. I didn't look that up.
That's fair. Chris Judd, his first 50 games was just super explosive. Do I think it's better than Nick Daicos's? Probably. Daicos, I have said, is probably the most. Is probably got him pipped. But Chris Judd in year 3 was better than Daicos, and I don't care what stats you pull up. Because Chris Judd is never going to have better stats than the Nick Daicos. He wasn't a 28. He wasn't a 28 average player. He was more of a 20 to 25.
Where the
Do
heck?
you get the difference where stats don't just matter?
No, I get it. I do. I'm not. That's what I'm trying to say.
Because Chris Judd in 2004 when he won the Brownlow wasn't averaging 28.
Yeah. What does GA mean? Does that mean goal assist? Why does it not just tell me? This is a stitch up.
It's fine. We're going to move now.
We're going to move on. Yeah.
Back to the full forwards. Alan Jakovic. Not everyone will remember him.
I don't remember who
he was brothers with Glenn Jakovic, who is West Coast all-time centre-half forward. This guy played 200 in his first 50 games, kicked 200 goals.
Shit.
Why does no one know who he is? Because he played like 13 games a year. He kicked 50 goals in his first 10 games.
That's ridiculous. How much are these guys averaging in terms of disposals then? If they're kicking, almost four.
I couldn't tell you how many disposals.
This is what I mean. That sort of statistic, though, is impressive compared to, when we talk about, Daicos, Judd, Selwood, who we're going to go on to. But, these guys, Jakovic, Jackson, Kernahan, these guys are kicking absolute bags.
So in 93, Gary Ablett Sr. kicked...
Gary Ablett Sr.
Kicked 14-7 against Essendon.
Haven't talked about him yet.
He kicked 14-7 against Essendon, and I think he had 28 touches. What would his super coach have been?
350. Seriously.
And they lost by 5 goals.
Would have been a great day if you had super coach back then.
Paul Salmon kicked 10-6.
That's just stupid.
It's not. It's
absolutely.
Not. It's not bad, is it? So,
all right, we haven't gone through. One.
Well, we've got.
Player.
Lance Franklin was. Lance Franklin was a superstar. Like in his 3rd year, he kicked 70 goals, and that sort of overlaps by his 50 games. But his highlight reel when he started was absolutely fantastic. You just knew he was going to be a star. Athletic. Could run like a jet, kick the ball from 50, 60. In his 3rd year, he kicked the winning goal in an elimination final. Like, look at that. That's his first goal of the game. Boom, left foot, boom. We saw him do that 1,000 times.
That's odd. Can't put it on for some reason.
It's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Buddy Franklin's impact was huge. I don't think he was as good as like the Daicos and whatnot, but in terms of talent, he was.
Oh, 100%. Franklin and the way he moved, the guy.
Like this is his first, first game.
So how many did he kick in his first?
I think he kicked 2 or 3.
But he was just it was such a different player. He was so quick. He ran with the ball. He was agile.
By the time he hit that 50 game mark in his 3rd year, he kicked 70 that year. And I think game 56, he kicked 7 in an elimination final and kicked the winner against Adelaide.
Yeah.
He around this time, he had arrived. And the year later, he kicks the century.
That's ridiculous.
So by 22, Buddy Franklin kicked a century, which I don't know if that will happen again.
No, I don't reckon. We're seeing a few bags being kicked, but nothing, worthy of being kicked every game.
Yeah.
You got to be averaging what? How many? Like 5.
Yeah, you got to be 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Yeah, literally got to be 5. So Buddy, started early. Gary Ablett Sr. was an interesting one because he debuted in 82 for Hawthorn.
My photo is not of Hawthorn; it's of him.
He only played 5 or 6 games, went back to the bush in 83, kicked 140 goals. First proper year at Geelong, won the BNF. Not as a forward, though, as a wingman.
I love that.
Mate, this
Guy could do everything.
So before he was kicking 100 goals and all that at the end of his career, because that's what everyone thinks about, there is literal a video of them in 89 saying he's the best player to ever play. If you look up the stats, it doesn't say it. It doesn't say it. Greg Williams, who's the greatest centreman ever, said Gary Ablett's the best midfielder I've ever seen. Guy was stronger, could run faster. You got to remember the eye test is a real thing. It's a real tangible thing that people will go like, I don't care how many touches that guy do.
Yeah.
I could see what this guy do. He was a magician.
That's what I mean.
And in his third year, he kicked 82 goals.
Yeah, it's
On
impressive.
on a wing. On a wing.
So that's why I'm saying like, but and that brings you back to what you talked about with Juddy. That eye test comes heavily into play.
Correct.
It's the same thing with even Daicos. You know, he's 28. It sounds good, but it's relative.
And by the way, Nick Daicos is an absolute star. I think he plays away. What Daicos cops a lot of shit about is his short passes. I think he's doing that from a strategical point of view. But people will use that against him. Oh, he's not, meters gained and whatnot. I don't buy that for a second. I actually reckon he is one of the best. This is one of the best 50. I don't think it's the best one, but it's not just about stats.
Are you slowly leading into who you think has the best? Are we even going to say who has the best?
I think we know what the answer was there.
All right. Well, who else have we got?
I think the last one, Tony Lockett kicked 170 goals in his first 50 games. Not bad.
Not bad at all. The infamous photo of Tony Lockett there.
I mean, not bad, playing for a shit side, and he, he just got better and better. I think clearly, Josh, for me.
Who have you got then?
Actually, you were you said something that I even forgot about. So Joel Selwood.
Oh, yep. Wait, we did not talk about Selwood.
So Selwood walked into a premiership side. Yep. But they weren't a premiership side yet. Like, he walked in and they were 2-3 at the start of the year. They were already grooming him for captain.
Yep.
And they were talking about him as captain in a side that had Ablett, Bartel, Chapman. Like, he just had this right attitude, his courage. Rising star winner. He made 2 grand final appearances, won a grand final. What was the stat that I didn't even know? What was his stat in his first 50 games?
46 wins, 4 losses.
So he was 92%.
Yeah.
And that you do know the year later, like, they won the flag.
Yeah. This is what I mean.
I think in his first 5 years, he won 3 grand finals.
He's the player to play the most AFL finals and win the most.
Correct. He's captained the most games. I think the difference. So this is where. So from a winning record, I'm not from a percentage. I don't know.
Because we do talk about what matters, but I get the hard thing is
this isn't basketball.
No, and it's not 5 players.
I think Nick Daicos' dominance on the game of football was more than Joel Selwood. Yep. As in, Nick Daicos is the number 1 midfielder.
I would agree with that.
But in terms from winning and leadership, Joel Selwood's up there. But as good as Nick Daicos is, I don't think he's the best one there. Like, I don't know how you can.
Let's just run through again, just because we have jumped through. So you got Nick Daicos, Tony Modra, Sav Rocker, Stephen Kernahan, John Coleman, Mark Jackson, Chris Judd, Alan Jankovic. Then you've got Selwood, Franklin, Stewart, Gary Ablett Sr. and Tony Lockett. Who have you got? It's a bloody hard one to.
I think it's quite easy. I reckon there's second, and then there's a clear first. I think Sticks Kernahan, 135 goals in 2 years. Premiership captain, 2-time leading goal kicker. Mate, John Coleman, 295 goals, 2-time grand final winner, led the league in goal kicking and his club 3 times. I don't know how you beat that. He won premierships. He won 2. He won all the awards, and his stats.
He's a leading goal kicker.
And if we want to use the stat argument, he averaged just under 5. He averaged just under 6 goals.
And if realistically forwards ever won Brownlows,
They made the award. They like
No, for kicking. Give this guy an award.
They did. They're like, there's not an award for kicking. Give that man we need to give him an award.
Yeah, that has to be
He
the
averaged
best
just
50.
under. He was 5 goals off, averaging 6.
It's impressive.
He wins.
He wins that, yeah. I'll take it. Yep,
He wins.
That's good.
He's got the winning. He's got the awards, and he's got the statistical dominance. I don't even think it's close.
No, I agree. What about Kernhan for second? I mean, he won the BNF.
I said he's second. I think
and then
he's second.
2 grand final appearances.
But I reckon
captain.
it's Coleman and then the rest.
Yeah, Coleman, Kernhan, and then I think...
Then we can have that convo. You know, I think Daicos was really good. Daicos as well.
And it's hard because they're all very different players. They're all different
Daicos
eras.
is 28 touches. So when I looked up Judd's, I was just like, whoa. But I've always known Judd was Judd even at his best.
Eye test though.
And Judd, I always thought at his best, he did do it, but he didn't need 30 touches. Yeah. You give him 20 to 25, he'll rip you apart. He'll kick a goal or two. Daicos needs to get a bit more of the ball. We are also the game. There is more possessions of the ball. There's more retention of the ball. It's not just get the ball and kick it long.
Kick it long to your one-on-one.
Correct.
It's more zone. It's more strategic. It's move the ball in waves. So I agree. The only
was there anything that I just thought the John Coleman thing was ridiculous. It's actually a really good exercise. I'm glad you brought this up because I had a few names and then you're delving into them. Like some of these,
how the heck was that not even brought up? Because they were talking about only Judd.
It's the recency bias.
Daicos and Selwood.
It's a recency bias, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. True. But in all sports, they there is a recency bias, and they don't talk about the old heads, which I think is highly disrespectful because they're the ones who built the foundations. And
literally, John Coleman has the Coleman medal.
And look at the photos. Go look it up of John Coleman, of him standing on people's heads.
Yeah, that guy was freak.
But not an athlete. Like, the guy can fucking jump. I think there's no one better than him.
Yeah.
There's not a better 50 games than that.
I'm really curious. What does all the viewers think? What are you thinking sitting at home? Who do you reckon has had the best first 50 games in the AFL? Obviously, there's probably going to be a lot of biased Collingwood supporters saying we're witnessing history, and we very well may be. I guarantee you, Daicos could come out and do what Judd did in his third season and win a Brownlow potentially. However, Collingwood aren't off to the greatest start right now, so it's not going to hurt. It's not going to help them this year at all. So, look, guys, thank you so much for watching. Any final thoughts, Johnny? Anything you want to tell the viewers?
Let us know who you thought had the best 50 games. This is an open discussion. Did I miss anyone? I tried to go as much as possible. I'm sure I missed someone. If this is a video you like this is the type of content you like, leave a comment. Give us some ideas. Happy to break this down. It's Tuesday. We'll get back to the previews tomorrow, but this is a little special.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, and
ring the fucking bell.
See you in the next one, guys.